Hello, my friends. Welcome back to A Come Touch of Fantasy. My name is Paul, and I'm talking about the books that I read last week, the books that I'm reading this week, and also I'm going to talk about a couple movies that I watched last week. So let's get right to it. The first book I'm going to talk about is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Got this from the library, so I already returned it. This was just all right. It was just okay for me. There was a lot of YA tropes in this that I just got kind of annoyed with. The romantic elements of it was very strong, and constantly it was all about the physical attraction of the characters. And so often the author is just telling us that, you know, the boy has rippling muscles, smooth skin, dark hair. Everyone just kind of seemed the same. Everybody was this like perfect caricature of what teenagers should look like, and it just kind of got on my nerves. Also, the beginning was so slow and so ununique and similar to so many other books that I just couldn't get into the book until about the 90-page mark when the characters get to Caraval. And Caraval is this like weird alternate city where there's like a game going on, and the first one to figure out all the riddles and save somebody ends up getting a wish at the end. And so that part of it was kind of cool. It was a mystery with riddles and all these clues, and our main character is trying to solve these clues to find her sister, who is basically the end goal of this game is to find her. And she has like this roguish man with her that is helping with her, and you know, YA sparks fly. And, you know, at the beginning they hate each other, but of course at the end they love each other. It was just an okay read. Can't really recommend it too much. If you really like YA, you probably would like this. It reminded me of Marissa Meyer's books, but I think Marissa Meyer is a little bit of a stronger writer than Stephanie Garber. Also, there was so many paragraph breaks. There were paragraph breaks when it wasn't even necessary, and that just took me out of the book. So, it was okay. I finished it. I almost DNF'd it, but I finished it, so it's getting a 2 from me. If you want to read more about this book, check out my written review below. The next book I finished was City of Dragons by Robin Hobb. This is the third book in her Rain Wild Chronicles series. This one was way different than the other two because it jumped around a lot more. With Robin Hobb's books, I'm so used to having an entire chapter dedicated to one character, and that in that chapter go on for about 20 plus pages. But in City of Dragons, it jumps characters more often than in her previous books. And it just didn't really feel like a Robin Hobb book because of that. Also, the world building was more important than the characters, it seemed, to show us the past. And always the characters have been more important than the world building in her books. But in this one, you can tell she's kind of using the characters to showcase the world building. Even though that happened in the other books, this one, it was just really obvious to me. A good thing is that it's showing characters that we haven't seen since the first book, or even since the Live Ship Traders series. So Malta, Rain, Hest, the Duke of Chalced, these characters are much more a part of this book than the previous books, and we get their point of views more. And I like that. It just jumped around a lot, and it was short. I would have liked to have read these last two books as one book, because I think it would have just worked a lot better. I'm not too excited about the publisher's decision to split the books the way they did, but it's okay. I still give it a 3. I liked it, but it was probably one of the weaker Robin Hood books that I've read. And let's get to the book that I liked the most last week, and that is The Edge of Gone by Corinne Duvis. Such a great book. Everything that Caraval did wrong as a YA book, this book did right. And it's about the end of the planet. A comet is coming towards Earth, and this daughter and mother are trying to find their way to a shelter to try to survive this comet hitting Earth. They wait a little too long for their sister, Iris, and so they're a little bit late getting to the shelter. So on the way, they run into this generation ship that is parked still. But the generation ships can survive the comet impact even if they're on Earth. And so they're able to get aboard, but they can't stay because there's only a limited amount of space. And this whole book is all about watching the daughter, who is autistic, doing so much for her and her mom, and also later her sister, to be a part of this ship, to be needed, to be useful. She goes out and gets supplies in the town by using a raft and like a jet ski type thing, and she meets all these different characters on the generation ship. She builds great relationships. Where the other book had the romance like for statue, this book, the romance just seems natural and just seems like it's a part of the story. It just comes about from what's happening. And it was just a really great, well-written YA book that I think everyone should read. So the hype on this one is for real. I liked this. I thought the science in it was great for a YA book. The writing was amazing. And the character was just so good. I love that she was autistic. It really makes a very interesting narrative and made me really connect to the book more because of that. Really enjoyed reading this one. Check that one out. Alright, so that brings me up to 11 books off my shelf. 2 of the books I read the last week were from the library, so not doing all that great, but 11 out of 10 from my shelf for the year. You know, it could be worse. It could be worse. This week here, I am taking a break from an audiobook. I find that right now with audiobooks, especially with the City of Dragons, which I listened to audiobook and read, that I might be a little bit burned out with audiobooks. So I'm taking a week off. And my main read this week is Rise of Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the second book in his series, which has 2 books in it. And this is a chunker, so I'm hoping that dedicating myself to this book this entire week, I'll finish it this week. Other than this, I have a lot of unread comics that I want to read. And I have some trades out from the library as well that I want to read. But Rise of Empire is definitely my main read for this week. At the moment, I'm about 240 pages in. So I'm looking forward to reading more of that for the rest of the week. Let's talk about what I watched at the movie theater last week. I'm going to be skipping some stuff this week just because of how late the video is. John Wick, Chapter 2. Wow. Awesome. I loved it. Loved it. So good. You know, let's be real. Let's be real. The violence in this movie is ridiculous. It is obscene. It's ridiculous. It's just so much. It's like, yeah. I mean, a part of me thinks that a movie like this that glorifies killing people and this type of violence is going to hurt society because people will watch this and they'll get ideas. It glorifies, honestly, it glorifies shooting people in the head a lot. And politically, I'm not a big gun person. And the shootings that happen in the world, in America specifically, I think that these type of movies do influence people. But they're not the reason for the shootings, but I believe they do influence people. So in that way, it's so difficult because the movie's so cool and I loved it. And I would probably give it a 9 out of 10 because I enjoyed it so much. But then there's this other part of me that's like, Paul, you're a hypocrite. But it was good. The world building in these John Wick movies is perfect. They don't tell you much. You just learn about it as you're watching. And I've come to realize it's more of an alternative, parallel Earth. It's not really our Earth. Because if it was our Earth, there would be cops everywhere. But you never see cops in these movies. And so it's definitely like a parallel world. And because of that, I think that it's easier for me to be okay with the violence, thinking it's like this parallel, fantastical world. But I loved it. I thought it was great. A little bit ridiculous, but what do you expect for Keanu Reeves' action movie? Okay. I also watched a horror movie called It Follows. This is kind of a indie, lower budget American horror movie from the last few years, and I like this. It wasn't spectacular, but what they did with the budget and what they did with the story was pretty good. I liked it. Basically, there's this monster, I guess you would call it, that can take the appearance of anybody, and when teenagers like sleep together, it gets passed to the next person. So it's like a Michael Myers STD basically. And I know it sounds stupid, but it was pretty good. I gave it a 3 out of 5, maybe like a 6 out of 10 type deal. But basically there's like rules, and that's what makes it cool. There's like rules to the horror movie, and it can only walk. So you can drive your car really far. It'll take weeks to get to where you're at. But it's cool in that regards. I always like these like specific rules in horror movies when it comes to these slasher horror movies. I think that makes them more believable and interesting and more intellectual in a way. But anyways, it was fun. If you're looking for a fresh horror movie, check it out. It Follows by David Robert Mitchell. Okay, that's it for me for this week. Sorry about the late video uploading. I will talk to you guys next week. I hope you're reading something amazing. And follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Goodreads. Subscribe. And maybe leave a comment. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.